we all kind of have a path that we're meant to go on, and things happen for a reason. But I don't really like practice anything or have a specific entity that I believe in.
Like moral emotivism, which is essentially that any kind of moral inclinations that we have are simply emotional reactions that we try to justify or verbalize with words.
I would agree that, like, you know, the universe does things and it's led up to this moment. But I think it's led up to this moment in the sense that it has given us a choice rather than, oh, you will do this thing. So for example, say I'm like thirsty. That's not something I can necessarily control, but I can still choose whether or not to take a drink of water.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Discourse Debrief. I am Peyton.
I'm Logan.
And I'm Abby.
And this is episode 10.
Woo!
10.
Woo! Double digits.
Of season 3. It's crazy to think how far we've come along. But nonetheless, it's going to be a fun topic today. My topic, and it's going to be a bit of a, how do we say, blast from the past in a way. But first, Abby, as always, can you please tell us about our upcoming event?
Yes, so the UA Discourse Series is having a debate on December 2nd, 7 p.m. in the Student Union. We don't have the exact room yet, so stay tuned on our Instagram. It's going to be a debate. Me and Logan are going to be participating. Peyton may or may not be moderating. Still don't know yet. And the question is, are universities meant to expand students' minds or their wallets?
Their minds.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Or their wallets.
Yeah, but their minds.
You'll have to come
Nuance.
to the event to see who wins
True.
and find the nuance. But nonetheless, yes, please come to that. We're very excited to see Logan and Abby debate and some other interns as well. But enough of that. It is my topic today, and it's going to be a blast from the past in more ways than one. As some of our loyal viewers who have seen every single episode, like all of you are, will remember, way back in the day, Logan actually brought, when it was just me and Logan doing it, brought a topic to us, which was basically a gauntlet of different political topics, and Logan and I just kind of ran through the quick version of our opinions on each topic. Today,
If I remember correctly, we kind of said the same thing for each one.
we did, although I will admit, up until we recorded that episode, I had no idea what your political affiliations were.
Yeah,
and
I
feel like
remember
that episode was really like the start of a closening of our bond of brotherhood that we have now.
Yeah, you guys looked ridiculous, too.
Yeah.
Wow.
No beard, short hair. How the times have changed. But nonetheless, some things stay the same, and one of them is I'm taking you all back into philosophy hell. Today,
Yay!
we're going to do a similar kind of gauntlet, but it's going to be for philosophical takes, and just kind of go around the table. I'm going to bring some topics. They might bring some as well as they think of, and just kind of give a brief summary of the different opinions we hold regarding different philosophy things. Are we all ready to rumble and get abstract with it?
Of course.
Always.
Also, I want to point out, you said back in the day, it was like a year ago.
Hey,
you
look
guys
up.
are unk now, so.
Look up. I'm Unk now, okay?
Anyways.
But yeah, so philosophy, it's a fun thing. Why don't we just start like super broad and just like, when you think philosophy, what is your process? Have you read a lot of works? Have you sat down and thought like really long and hard? Or is it more so like you just kind of have an opinion as a problem shows up? What's philosophy like for y'all?
Philosophy for me, so I've taken a few philosophy courses here at the U of A. I really enjoy them. Sometimes and actually most of the time they're not really what I signed up for. And I get there and I'm just like, well, I'm still having fun, but this isn't what I signed up for. I think that's kind of what philosophy is all about.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I've read a lot of like Plato, Aristotle, I guess Socrates, but he didn't actually write anything down. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of just approach issues as they come to me, but I do have those like 3 a.m. thoughts that keep me up at night.
Mm-hmm. Real.
Yeah, I posted one on TikTok and it got like 2 million views. So
Type shit?
Not even exaggerating.
no,
Type
I'm not even
shit.
joking. Like, and then people were telling me I should invest in a diary. Whoops. My bad. I didn't expect it to go viral. But yeah, no, I'm very well accustomed to philosophy.
Amen. What about you, sir?
Mine is almost purely through the lens of politics with some deviations. So kind of, yeah, I know. And a lot of it is sort of surface level. I haven't really dived
Dove.
divin deep into any specific works. So like a lot of it will be, Plato, Aristotle, is democracy an actually good system? Hobbes is a division of powers, is that a good thing, etc. But since like kind of my high school years when I did the brunt of that, I've taken like a personal morality course, which is like about like birth, abortion, civic disobedience.
That's what mine was supposed to be about. Yeah. We just ended up reading Plato and Aristotle. No flame.
I would trade you. And then also like kind of done some work on like Epicurus, who sounds like an ultimate Giga Chad. Like, just relax, bro. Like, that's all life
Logan's
is.
just really into like Greek stuff.
I am. That is very true.
And Roman times. All of those. So.
See, but not in a bad way.
Good save. Good save. Walking on a tightrope there.
Yes.
How much do you think about the Roman Empire? How often?
Every day.
Me and my empire is Roman. Okay. So we have kind of like a little bit of actual like scholarly study, but kind of just experiential maybe mostly. And then for you, maybe political philosophy. I mean, hell, we all had a lot of Rousseau back in Regents of 25.
Oh my God, yes.
God bless the social contract. But nonetheless, I kind of find myself in a bit of a hybrid between you two, I guess, probably a little more adjacent to you, but you'll find that it's almost hypocritical how little the amount of like actual scholarly studying I've done of philosophy. I've taken a few philosophy courses, but happened to be during one of the worst points of my life. Did not pass any of those classes, but I did learn some things, and I also did a lot of kind of I think it's safe to say it was real studying through like YouTube, like contemporary philosophers, Alex O'Connor, unsolicited advice, Sam Harris, and I kind of even in spite of how little actual research I've done, I like to entertain the world of the abstract and abstract thoughts.
To be fair, like there is no real way to study philosophy because it's just people yapping.
Real.
Like if you just listen to people's opinions, that's studying philosophy.
Although I want to point something out. I think like the people that academically study philosophy just kind of come away thinking the same things of what they read, like some exceptions, rather as opposed to like you who like actually experiences and actively, changes the way you think about the world. I think that's like quote unquote real philosophy.
Well, I remember my philosophy professor just saying like, people think philosophers just sit on their couch and think. I'm like, isn't that what you do? Like, isn't that what you do? And he's like, we conduct field research.
Or they read about people who sit on their butts and think.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, not to be against philosophers. Sorry if there are any philosophers
I wanted
watching.
to be a philosophy professor for a bit.
Well, that's different. You're being a professor. You're not just like sitting and thinking.
Yeah. Well,
you're making money.
That is kind of a good segue though into kind of our first topic, but that's kind of what we all do. I think if we play with words a little bit, but nonetheless, I think it's fair. We're all kind of philosophers in our own right, and I think you used a very important word there, which is experience, right? For me especially, at least I can articulate it, but I think it applies to everybody else, is we all experience a series of things, and then we have thoughts that kind of correspond to those experiences, and we kind of come up with this constellation of understanding about this goofy little world that we all find ourselves conscious in. But let's just start with a pretty broad, simple topic, religion. Whether or not God exists, deities exist. You don't have to be too specific, but whichever one of you would like to go first, just do you believe in a higher power?
Okay.
If you don't, did you before? If you do, did you not before? Just kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up Lutheran. It's a branch of Christianity. Don't ask me about it. I honestly don't really know. I just sat in church and colored while things were happening. I liked dressing up. That was my favorite part of going to church. I am not a religious person. I do believe in like higher powers. I just don't practice anything. I don't know. I like to have my own time, and I feel like dedicating myself to something like that is just not for me.
And when you say like you believe in some kind of like
no, like I believe in
power,
like the universe. I feel like karma, like what goes around comes around kind of thing. I believe that like we all kind of have a path that we're meant to go on, and things happen for a reason. But I don't really like practice anything or have a specific entity that I believe in.
And then just one final question before we go to you. Have you like taken a lot of time like sitting and just like thinking specifically about like religious beliefs that you have, or is it all just kind of something that passively this is what you've come to believe over time?
No, I've had conversations with people. I've talked to my mom a lot about it because she is a Christian. But I don't know. I've never really felt pressured to be in any certain religion of any sort. My parents always just didn't really care what we believed in. They just brought us along to church because we were like 6 years old and couldn't stay at home. But I think my parents have always just been like, you need to develop your own opinions as a separate person, and which I think is important. But no, I've had a few times where I've just sat and thought about it because like some earth-shattering things would happen in my life, and I'm like, damn, like it would be nice to believe that there's somebody looking out for me. But I've never actually continued on with that, if that makes sense.
Of course, yeah. And then what about you, G?
I think I have an interesting answer. I guess, I mean, every religious person will tell you this. Like, religion is all based on faith, right? So I guess I'm at a point in my life right now where, like, anything that isn't objective, that I can't see and feel and, like, actually, touch, I have a hard time kind of relating to. Yeah, I know. So,
sorry, the child.
Faith is just something that I guess is hard to come by for me right now. With that being said, though, I was raised kind of in the same manner. I like went to church until I like graduated high school and left. Yeah.
I stopped in like elementary school.
Oh. Anyways,
Sorry, it's just
separate like
anyway.
the doctrines and the teachings out from it. I think the values, and you mentioned Alex O'Connor, so I think you've interacted with this before. The values that were imparted to me were important, such that I have the opinion that religion is broadly good for society. Like if you take away the beliefs, the faith, like the sort of moral lessons that are in there, I think are pretty good. I mean, I feel like I've turned out somewhat okay. So,
I second that.
There's that to go for me. Somewhat. It's a qualifier.
Yes, you turned out okay.
So whether or not I still believe like the foundational teachings, set that aside for now. I think the experience of actually going to church is largely beneficial.
Yeah, I like the sense of community it brings you.
For sure.
And I think a lot of like the what's good and what's bad is I think it's important to teach a child because children don't really want to listen to their parents. But if you're saying something like, "Oh, but God is watching you," then it's like, all right, well,
and
shit,
Jesus
I
is
gotta
the
lock
goat.
it. Like I gotta lock it. But yeah, I think that those values are important to teach children. I just don't know if I really like believe it now.
Right.
And then just kind of the second question I asked her, did you ever have any moments where you like sat down and specifically thought about, do I think it's possible that a God is out there? Or how like the philosophical aspects are these real things to me? Have you ever had a moment like that?
I mean, I lean more towards agnostic rather than atheism, even if I can say that. I don't know. I still don't know.
I'd say I'm an agnostic.
Is it possible that one exists? Absolutely. I think that's possible. And I think that's one thing that like science or logic can't really disprove. Like I mentioned Epicurus, he has this like flow chart of like, does God exist? Is he an all good being? And like yada, yada, yada. I don't think that's something you can use to necessarily disprove an existence. However, like I mentioned, I'm just at a point in my life where like I can't even interact with that possibility right now because there's so many other things. Yeah. But I acknowledge the very real possibility.
Awesome.
What about you, Peyton?
Yes.
Upon retrospect, I have a goofy kind of...
It's always goofy.
It's goofy. I love the term. But I have a goofy kind of story when it comes to my religiosity that was originally pretty cut and dry to me, but now it makes sense. I'll give the rundown just for context for the audience, and it does segue into the next topic I have. Unless we want to talk about other things, we'll give the opportunity for that too. But
we'll just see what happens.
Similarly to you, I was raised... non-denominational Christian is what my parents called it. And we kind of lightly practiced, would go to church on Sundays, dress up, and it was kind of the more modern, like if you went to the adult session, they just played a bunch of honestly great music, and there'd be a sermon and then more music, and then probably go out with our family afterwards. And that was my life until around 5th grade when my dad remarried and her daughter was going to a Catholic school. And so we got enrolled into this Catholic school, and I remember overtly asking my parents, hey, I know that they're supposed to believe in the same God, these two different religions, but nonetheless, we're doing completely different rituals here. So like, which one am I supposed to believe in? Like, I'm confused. And their answer was just kind of, well, like they may do things differently, but it's the same God, just kind of go with it. Don't do what you're not comfortable doing. And I had multiple times where, especially when my classmates were doing sacraments in church, where because I wasn't a Catholic, I would just sit there looking around the chapel and thinking, well, okay, how can it be that two religions claim to have the utmost certainty in their like rituals and their beliefs, but nonetheless, like there's no proof for it. And going into high school, I ended up being like well, I didn't have the word for it, kind of an agnostic, more so atheist. And then as high school went on into college, I became a confirmed atheist, which is a hard denial that any God exists. And then I started exploring philosophical concepts. Then I became agnostic again, kind of the belief of, well, I don't think it's possible for any human to know or not know whether or not God exists. And eventually I ended up being introduced to Buddhism, kind of mindfulness, and fast forward to now, I would identify as a secular Buddhist, meaning that I think that a lot of the logic and teachings of Buddhism is sound, but I don't necessarily adhere to or believe in any of the kind of cosmological aspects, I guess. But any other thoughts on religion before we go into our next topic?
Yeah, I think that raises an interesting point, which is like all religions, to varying degrees, have some sort of plausibility, whether it's atheism, agnosticism, Judaism, Christianity, anything. They all have some plausible attributes, which is why, again, it's all about faith. As far as like atheism, like you explained, I can't remember his name, but he put it really well. Across history, Greek, Roman gods, and like what we have now, there's like 1,000 religions. As an atheist, I only don't believe in one fewer God than you, as like
I've heard that same
Christian or something like that. So I think that just goes to show that like any belief system is plausible, and it's just a matter of preference and experience, and what kind of gets you to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can ever tell somebody like, hey, what you believe is false.
Yeah.
Because it may be very real to them. For me, I don't believe in a whole lot. I mean, I'm not a skeptic, so I believe in like ghosts and shit. And I've got tarot cards. I'm weird.
Amen.
But no, like I like believing in things that are supernatural and things that I can't fully wrap my head around. But I don't like to practice anything. Like I don't really like an organized religion for myself. I just feel like things don't ever really work out for me with that.
And that kind of gives me a follow-up question. I think we'll stay on the topic for a little longer. All three of us, it sounds like, have had experience. I mean, makes sense given we're all like in America, but experience with like some sect of Christianity, and that we're not as committed to that anymore, right? I'm curious, like, what about Christianity did you not like or appreciate enough such that you don't identify with it anymore? And then what did you take from it that you thought was good for you personally into your life now?
I think initially for me, it's changed to the point where now it's like I don't necessarily hate religion. I don't even dislike it to an extent. But when I first started transitioning kind of away from religious thoughts, it was because a lot of people like associated with Christianity would like participate in this like blatant science denial, like argue against evolution, argue against like climate change, even to the point where like I don't really want to associate with these people because like some of these beliefs are like genuinely dangerous. But now I've gotten to the point where I realize those people are just like kind of crazy. And again, I was just explaining, like religion is probably like good for society. So I guess nothing really like right now, nothing is necessarily turning me off. It's just right now there's quote unquote no room in my life for that.
I feel like religion has become really politicized recently, especially in America. And I don't really want to associate myself with a religion that may have certain political ideals. I'm not saying that it does or not, but it's just recently that's what it kind of seems like. I don't know, I didn't really have a bad experience with my church. Like, I would go to the kind of old people service because my grandma went. So we'd go and there would be no music or anything, but we'd sing like the hymns and listen to the people talk, and I'd color in my poofy dress. And then I'd go to like Sunday school after with all the little kids and eat snacks. And yeah, that's what I remember. I remember it being kind of fun and connecting with my friends. But then when I started to get older and I like started to like actually pay attention in the services, I don't know, it just wasn't interesting to me, and it didn't seem like real in my brain. Like, I'm a very science-driven person, and so a lot of the things like hearsay to me. I don't know, like just believe what this guy tells you to, and I have a hard time believing any man. So,
hey, amen. No, yeah, I think I find myself adjacent to y'all. It was especially obvious to me because I had that juxtaposition of being raised non-denominational Christian into going to Catholic school. And for me, I think you put it very well. It's like a lot of it is faith-based, and just the way my brain works, I can't really be at peace with that, or at least I couldn't at the time. And since I've grown up a little more, not only does that still broadly remain a factor, but I also find myself just unsatisfied with the groundings of specifically Christianity, and as you said, a lot of the political affiliations I'm not particularly a fan of. But a good thing that I pulled away from that was I think that Jesus had some pretty badass morals. Whether he existed or not, whether he came back or not, that guy had great morals.
The story of it.
The story of it all, exactly. And I mean, I would be just completely and utterly lying if I didn't say that the character of Jesus is foundational to the kind of empathy morals I have, and I think they're broadly good morals.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I definitely carried some of those morals with me, like what's good and what's bad, help your neighbor, like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, I think he definitely had some good morals. I just don't know if I believe in the religion.
Just
and
like
I think
Confucius,
honestly,
good morals.
Honestly, when I started to stray away from church, the pastor changed to a different pastor. And I didn't really like that guy, if I'm being honest. Like, he rubbed me the wrong way. He was just, I don't know. So there's something off about him.
Yeah. Well,
you know when you can tell that there's, like, something off about a person, but they seem, like, so chill in real life, but then you're just like, I know that person has got some ulterior motives. No.
Okay, just making sure.
No, but there's, like, those people that are too nice, you know?
Sure.
He wasn't too nice. He was kind of a jerk, but...
Oh.
Yeah.
He was on a power trip.
Kind of what you said, like you're at a point where you don't believe, and yet you still taken morals away that are, as objectively good as we can get to. And I think that is pretty close as we can get. Carefully.
We'll get there.
All right. Interesting. And I think that highlights something important is like there's a stigma that atheists, and especially atheists, because that word is like kind of has a rough connotation. So like I'll just say like non-believers. People think that non-believers are like just like evil, but that's usually not true. Like for me, maybe I'm not as what's the word? Susceptible. I don't subscribe to those beliefs as much as maybe I have in the past, or as maybe I ever will. But I still like want to be a good person and want to have a fulfilling life.
Well, that is the perfect segue into topic number 2, morality. As you can see, fun topical image.
What is this guy doing right here?
Let's not think about it too much longer.
Hello?
That great eye. But nonetheless, trolley problem. I love trolley problem memes.
Me too.
But I also love thinking about morality, right? Big, ambiguous thing. And it's, for a lot of people, it's tied pretty explicitly to their religious beliefs. But for some people, perhaps like me, but we'll get into that, and maybe like y'all, not so much. So just to the extent you're capable of describing, what are each of y'all's moral beliefs? And we started with you last time. I think we can start with Logan here.
Like, can we like sequester these into like different topics? Like you just say moral belief. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, it's a little broad.
Sure, we can break it down. For the opening, let's just say like, where do you root any and all of your aspects of morality that you hold to be true?
I just like my conscience, I guess. My brain.
Subjective experience?
Yeah, and again, kind of the morals that have been imparted to me as a child, and what I've sort of continued to reinforce.
Of course.
I'd say my experiences. I feel like my morality is always changing. Obviously, I have a set of core beliefs that I stick to. Don't ask me to name them right now. When they come up, then I know them. But I have a set of core beliefs that don't really waver. But there's like subtopics of those that
Yeah.
sometimes change based on my experiences. So
Well, and I think to put it like simpler, like I feel like most of the time you can tell if something is bad. Like if you did something bad, you might not realize it until much later, but nonetheless, you can probably tell like, oh, that thing I did was probably not good.
also sometimes like the law
Yeah.
as a citizen
But
of
where does the law come from?
the United
It's
States.
almost as if we did an episode about the relationship between law and morality.
I mean, I there are some things that are in the law that I'm like, okay, that is ridiculous. But then there are some like I'm like, okay, yeah, it's probably not good to kill people.
Yeah.
More than likely.
And I'm like, but drinking when you're 8, or like when you get to 21, that just seems a little silly to me.
Especially the age, like why not make it 25 when like
Well, if like
brains
you
are-
can vote at 18, then why can't you drink at 18? But
Well, we might be doing a moral good to our youth by making it such that it's more difficult for them to harm themselves
and ourselves.
and ourselves.
well, yeah, I'm sure that's true, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Those are the things where I'm like, I'm not sure, but I
Yeah.
usually generally follow the law. That's like, don't kill people, don't do things that are bad.
Of course.
Sometimes I jaywalk.
I
No.
often jaywalk. But
Yeah, I want to hear your answer.
Actually, don't do
course.
that, guys.
don't jaywalk unless there are no cops and no cars coming. Then there's literally no harm being done to the world. So I think you should do it.
I think that an eagle is going to drop down from the
Unless
sky.
that happens, then you're screwed. No, you're fucked. You're fucked. But
Man
yeah, my
versus
answer.
eagle. America, bitch. Sorry.
That's not even like an eagle. I'm sorry. Locking in. Simple answer is I broadly agree with y'all. And I think that we all kind of implicitly stated that we believe that morality is subjective.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of people, I imagine, would disagree with that. They believe that there is one knowable, to an extent, ironclad, unwavering, objective morality that remains true no matter who you are, what your circumstances are, that kind of thing. But it sounds like, and I know for me, we don't necessarily agree with that. Have either of y'all ever flirted with this idea of whether or not an objective morality exists, or did you believe in that for a while? And if so, what did that look like?
I mean, I'll kind of yes, but kind of no. So like what you're saying, like a lot of people think that there is an objective sense. I think the reason of that is they'll point to like extreme examples. Like for example, in the Middle East where there's some countries that are, is it called like Sharia law?
Yeah, Sharia law.
Where like women just like basically don't have any rights. And they'll point to that as like, oh, this is founded in their religion, so that's obviously bad, and ours is, good. And I understand the appeal of that, and like to an extent I even agree with that. But at the same time, like you pointed out, Buddhism, like those beliefs aren't nearly as extreme, and yet they're different, but they're still quote unquote good. So I guess from there I realized like there are some morals that I at least hold to be not as good, but that just highlights that, like you said, it is subjective.
No, I've always thought it's pretty much subjective. I mean, you grow up with your own background, your own culture, your own country that you're in, your own set of values, your own religion. So it's really hard to tell somebody that like you should just know that this is wrong, even if it's entirely different from the way I grew up. So I can't say that people should know that there's just one idea of morality. Obviously, there are things that I believe that are to be wrong that other people are doing, but that doesn't mean that they themselves think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Which is why we have laws as a society, so we can sort of keep somewhat of a structure between everyone.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I think I'm similarly, I never really believed there was an objective morality. I only grew to kind of battle with whether or not that actually existed as time went on. And my depression/philosophy arc, one of the topics that I dove into pretty hard was morality, what its roots are. And I remember this is one thing I watched a lot of Alex O'Connor for, lots of debates that he had done. And one, I guess, topic or concept that he introduced to me that I think is most realistically true for me is called like moral emotivism, which is essentially that any kind of moral inclinations that we have are simply emotional reactions that we try to justify or verbalize with words. So if you kill someone close to me and that feels bad. I don't like that. I'm going to have negative emotions associated to that thing. I'm going to describe it as being morally bad because it makes me feel emotionally bad.
That's a very David Hume approach to it.
It may be. I have not read a lot of Hume.
That's also why in the law we have like different kind of standards, I guess, for like mentally ill people. Mm-hmm. For that exact reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of nuance. Ding, ding, ding. But broadly, overarchingly, I would identify myself as a moral emotivist. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also align a lot with a lot of like Buddhist moral principles, a lot of Judeo-Christian moral principles, but at the end of the day, I do think abstractly it's moral emotivism is what I believe in. Yeah. But now that we've got our frameworks down, we can kind of jump into some various little examples and hypotheticals. I don't have too many.
I have one.
I do like hypotheticals.
I would love for all of us to contribute different ones, but just to start easy, trolley problem. Trolley is running, okay? Boom, barreling down the track, and it's going to run over 5 people. Actually, it's going to run over a shit ton of people, but for the sake of the hypothetical, 5 people. And if you don't pull the lever to change the tracks, they're all going to die. But if you do pull the lever, one dude is going to die. What do you do?
Pull the lever.
Pull the lever?
Yeah.
I pull the lever.
I would like to think that I would pull the lever, but I don't know if my emotions would let me. I might fall to the bystander effect.
I have, I think, 2 reasons. One that's significantly more boring than the other. One, I think just, it's efficient to only lose 1 person rather than 5.
Very utilitarian.
Yes, thank you, that's the word. But on the other hand, in the law we have what's called negligence, which can be an action or an omission of action that leads to someone's harm. So I see deciding not to pull the lever as an action in itself.
I agree. I think inaction is action.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 2 follow-ups, and then we can maybe go into your hypotheticals.
Okay.
Follow-up number 2. Same exact scenario, except the one person is the person you love most in the world.
Then I'm letting the 5 people die.
Me too.
Me 3. Right? Isn't it interesting how even though the unsubjective weight of each person remains the same, that our connections to one person or another may vastly change our moral inclinations, right?
You can't be unbiased when it comes to that. Like, if I don't know these people, okay, I measure. Oh, this is gonna sound bad.
That's fine. That's what we're doing.
Well, in like this scenario, I measure the lives of those 5 people to be, it's greatly affecting more people than just that one person. Because the people are dead, right? Like there's no bringing them back, but their families are alive and they have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And if it's just one family, it's a little bit different than 5 families. I also don't want to be murdered by those 5 families.
Yeah.
So
I think a good way to kind of highlight, or not highlight, like exemplify this is like, and this kind of relates to emotivism, is if you are like, your life is being threatened, like someone has a gun to your head, the best thing you can do is tell them your name, because that creates emotional connection, and now they're like, they feel something for you. Hi, my name's Logan. Okay. And they feel something for you, and they're like less likely to actually want to kill you. So I think that kind of displays
and I think it also goes along with the fact it's like, I would rather me, myself die than watch somebody that I love die, because then I'm not there.
Yeah.
And the thing in that scenario, I'm a part of that family.
So if you're tied to one side of the rail and your loved one is tied to the other rail, you would pull the lever such that it runs over yourself?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would.
Yeah, you brought up a very interesting connection I don't think I'd like consciously been aware of. Our walkthroughs of this is a pretty decent explanation of why I believe in moral emotivism, because I would also pull the lever to or leave the lever to keep my loved one alive, and I do think it's because of that emotional potency, even though a utilitarian might argue that I'm still doing the morally wrong thing. But last iteration of the trolley problem, then I want to hear what other hypotheticals y'all have. Right. You don't know anybody involved. They aren't doing anything to kind of, actually no, they're all begging for their lives. But this time, instead of it being you pulling a lever, you're on a bridge that goes over the railing, and there's a fat person, obese person, whatever, standing at the edge of the bridge. You're familiar?
Yeah.
And you have the option to either push them over the bridge such that it stops and it will not kill the 5 people on the bridge, or you can leave the fat person up there and the 5 people will die. Do you push the fat person over?
That's a little different, though.
Yeah.
Because
You're replacing the act of pulling the lever with actually pushing someone.
Yes. And, like, I don't know, because the person is safe on the bridge. This person is still tied to the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who's to say another trolley car won't come and hit that person again?
Well, here's
like, they're all in immediate danger, but
here's
it's
interesting
hard.
kind of a way that I've come up to kind of recontextualize this. I might not do it properly, but let's say instead there are 5 people in one room that have a firing squad aimed at them, right? And in the other room, it's you with a loaded gun pointed at one other person, okay? If you shoot this person, the other 5 will live. If you don't, they die.
I don't think I could kill someone.
No, wait. And then I make it worse.
Oh, God.
Let's say that instead there's 5 people in a room. They'll be killed by a firing squad if you do nothing. Instead of you pulling the gun and shooting it yourself, if you press a red button in a different room, another man will shoot the guy instead. Are you still pulling the trigger? Does it have the same emotional weight to you? Do you see the difference?
I do.
I think that's kind of the difference we're seeing between the fat man and pulling the lever.
Yeah, because even if I pull the lever, it isn't actually me killing the person, it's the trolley, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm pulling the trigger, I guess you could argue that it's the gun killing the person, but it's different because it's a weapon.
Or the
it's like
bullet.
attached to me, you know?
Well, of course. And like
It's extremity?
maybe.
Instrumentality? Something like that.
Well, the thing is like, in an ideal situation, I'd stop the damn trolley. Like, that's what I do.
But your emotions come into play.
But the emotions come in play, and it's like, how much time do I have to decide? Like, there's so many factors that I'd have to ask. One, I don't even think anyone's ever going to actually be in this situation, and I hope they're not.
Of course.
But it's just, I have no clue. I have no clue what I would do.
I think I would still be able to do it. I would push the fat person, pull the lever, shoot the firing squad.
Shoot
press
the
button.
firing squad.
Wait, if you could get away with that.
That's smart.
Let's get out.
I'm doing that.
Shoot the firing squad. With the caveat that I think I would have substantially more guilt from pushing the person rather than just pulling a lever.
Mm-hmm.
I think even after that, and after that guilt, I think I'd be able to say I'd do it again, but it would be a lot on my conscience.
I don't think I'd be able to live with myself.
Yeah.
It would be insanely traumatic. Don't get me
Absolutely.
wrong.
Yeah, I don't, like, I literally would probably be put into, like, an insane asylum because of that. Because, like, I would go insane after doing that.
Well,
but then I'd also save 5 lives, so
You
I don't
made
know.
a very important kind of statement earlier, which was that this is probably never going to happen to anybody, and you'll find that a lot of philosophical hypotheticals will never happen, but the point isn't to prepare yourself for when it actually happens. It's more so to find the roots of our moral intuitions such that we can be aware of them moving into the future.
And especially because, like, your decision whether or not to pull the lever, like, you might not even be putting your morals into that. It's just a split-second reaction, flight or flight, adrenaline, et
Your
cetera.
intuitions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you might completely regret your decision. Like, if you actually thought about it, you wouldn't have done it, but...
Like, you're not going to have time
Exactly.
in, like, a real-life scenario to do that. That's why people come up with all of these questions, like those dumb TikTok questions, like, ask your boyfriend these 5 questions and see what he says to
Do you
it.
love me? Would you love me if I was a worm?
Would you love me if I was a worm? But
Carry around in my pocket.
No, okay. But it's not really because that those situations are real and that, like, they're going to happen at any point, but it's to see, like, your subconscious beliefs about that, and then that tells you something about the person. You know what I mean?
It does, yeah. But now that we have a classic hypothetical, I want to open it up for either of y'all if you have other hypotheticals before we go into our next topic.
I have one, but I don't know if I am going to explain it correctly.
You can try it.
Okay. This was actually told to me in the personal morality class. I don't know if you went to class, Peyton, maybe.
Depends on how early it was.
So you walk into a doctor's office, right? And you just have a cold. So you're there to get a little checkup on your cold. And a doctor comes to you, immediately cuts you open, takes all of your organs because there are 5 patients that are dying and they need those organ transplants right away. Do you think that's morally okay?
Without my consent?
Without your consent.
No.
No.
But those 5 people,
No. And I wouldn't even give my consent either.
Mm-hmm.
No, I wouldn't either. That's just telling you to kill yourself for some random people.
But if they were 5 loved ones, my answer might change.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
That's
think
the thing. Because it's like, to me, I weigh the problem. Say it wasn't you. Say it was just some random person. That's different.
Yeah.
But to me, I still weigh the problem because those people that are in the hospitals are already dying. Their families already know that they're dying. They have a little more time to prepare. That's different for me. This is very sudden.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, like, I don't know.
Back in my...
I still think that that's wrong because you're just killing some random healthy person with the sniffles.
Well, another part of my angsty philosophical depression arc was I pretty heavily believed in the principles of utilitarianism. Like, if I was a fully committed utilitarian, you just have to say yes there. Like, just kill yourself. Assuming, like, we know that they would, or let yourself be killed to harvest the organs.
Right.
Assuming that we know that those 5 people living long enough will provide a greater good than will have been if I was still alive. But one of the things, there are others, but one of the things that pulled me away from utilitarianism is, especially the further out into the future we look, we simply cannot know whether or not more utility is being preserved or not. We can't know that for certain. We can make good assumptions, especially when more numbers are involved, but I think that is a pretty good look into utilitarianism.
And an example of that is also, I think this is a classic one. Say you have one person with no eyes and one person with 2. Would you force the person with 2 eyes to give 1 eye such that there's less blind people in the world? You'd probably say no. You wouldn't force them to do that because,
For me, in these scenarios with people that I don't know, I kind of measure, and this sounds so bad, but I kind of measure their lives on the amount of people they're affecting by being gone.
Or how young they are. That's also a factor.
That's true. Because, like, without knowing a person, there's no other real way to tell, like, what kind of an impact they're going to have in the world. And, like, I hate playing God or something like that because I'm just a person. And so it's hard to be, like, super analytical about how you're killing somebody. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I think, again, that, like, how do I say this? The moral emotivism is just, like, jumping out at me as we go through each of these things. Like you say, that's crazy, right? I feel like that's an emotional reaction that I would share too. But nonetheless, I think unless we have any other thoughts on morality, we can go into our next topic.
I have a question.
Oh, God.
Not so much a hypothetical.
Ruh-roh.
I guess maybe.
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
If you have money, I won't even say if you're rich. If you have money, do you have a moral obligation to be charitable, to donate to charity?
I think it depends on where you are.
Yeah, we're getting into the realm of, like, hedonism, obligation.
Okay, then I'll change it to if you are rich, do you have a moral obligation to be charitable?
I don't think you have an obligation, but I think that if your moral values align with being charitable, then you should give money.
Yeah, I hate using, like, phrases like obligated or obligatory because I don't think that there is any objective way to justify the likes of those things. Now, if you have expressed principles like you care about people and you should do what you can without hindering yourself, blah, 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 and that's true, that can be a foundation for you to logically be obligated to do X, Y, or Z thing, but then the threshold of where do you stop gets kind of blurry. But overall, I don't think I agree with obligatory there.
I think obligation is a difficult word because, like, who's forcing you?
That too.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, your morals, because it's a moral obligation.
Or everyone else's morals.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I largely agree with you
like
guys.
Listening to your water in the mic.
No,
I agree with you guys. Like, you shouldn't, there's no obligation, but I think you still should.
Yeah.
Well, that's because your own personal morals tell you that you should.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
Another good segue. Should, shouldn't, could, couldn't. Does it even matter if free will doesn't?
Oh, here
exist?
we go. Free will.
Finally.
Sorry, my brain is...
You're doing a great job.
Those words... Okay, that was a lot. That was a lot right there.
My bad. I make the connections type shit.
Should,
type
shouldn't,
beat.
couldn't, wouldn't.
All having to do with whether or not you are capable of doing one thing or another. Acting independent of one's own circumstances. But
I need to look something up.
Would you like a moment, or do you
Well,
want me to
I
go
just don't know exactly what you're asking. Like, what are you asking me? Like, dumb it down. Dumb it down for me.
Sure. For the sake of clarity, define what free will means to you. The concept of free will.
Jesus.
Free will?
Yeah. You don't have to be crazy with it.
It's different to me.
Sure. Yeah, that's why I asked.
Because free will, I think it really depends. If you're living in a society constructed by laws, I mean, you have free will, but you also have to follow those laws. Like in the U.S., you have free speech. I guess that's kind of part of free will. But
yeah.
you can't, like, slander anyone. Like, I feel like
Well, you
there's
could, though.
drawbacks.
You could, though. It's just you would experience the ramifications, right?
True. If you're, like, able to accept those consequences, then you can do basically whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not able to accept those consequences, then I don't really think you have free will.
Interesting. I like that. What about you?
I'm still trying. There's a name for this word.
Start with the
There's
C.
a name for this
think
word.
so.
Compatibilist?
Yes, but I don't remember what exactly it means. I'm trying to find out right now.
Is it like a logic or an ideology or?
It's just logical.
Maybe while you look that up, I can kind of
Yeah,
describe
yeah,
the
yeah.
three different overarching beliefs. So there's I forget what actual adherents to free will are called. Is it okay.
Free Willians.
Free Willians.
Willie?
Free Willy.
Free Willy. He needs help. But for people who believe in libertarians, I think they're called.
Oh.
Capital
Yes.
L, or maybe lowercase l. I don't know. Libertarians, in the philosophical sense, believe in free will, which is that despite any other circumstances that may be influencing how you may or may not be able to act, you still have some kind of superseding will and or capability to act independent of those otherwise influencing circumstances. That's number one.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say I literally AI'd arguments for and against free will. Do you want me to just... No.
We'll get there.
Okay.
No, let him talk.
And then the second is determinists. There are different levels of this. I'm going to use the definition of hard determinist because I am a hard determinist, which is essentially that there is... That's... Plus
Cut
two.
that out.
Plus two. But nonetheless, hard determinists believe that there is zero room for free will, that every single thing in your life and probably the universe is causally necessary from things that have happened prior, such that your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, every single thing that you do is inevitable and that you have no control over it. You're simply experiencing a kind of movie that's already been shot, edited, and is playing in front of you right now. And then compatibilists are, and I'll be a little harder describing this, are basically a third group that try to mesh both of the two such that they respect the influences that determinism and the universe has on you, but still kind of retcon a kind of free will as existing through like the likes of whether or not you feel emotionally fulfilled, and you can still make some decisions given the constraints your universe is putting on you. So I would identify as a hard determinist. Given that, what do y'all think you are? Or does that even make sense?
I might be a soft determinist. Is that a thing?
I'm sorry. Well, maybe that might be a compatibilist then.
Maybe.
And I didn't do the best job explaining.
It's because, okay, so for my personal morality paper, I decided to combine Kant and Hume into one, which was really difficult, by the way, because they're like... And I honestly did a kind of a good job. I was pretty proud of it. I don't know if it makes any sense to anyone but me. But I guess, I don't know. I have a hard time taking a firm stance on something that I don't know a ton about.
Sure, of course.
Like, I feel like if I were to, like, do a little more research on it and be able to, like, sit down and think about which one I am, then maybe I could tell you, but...
Or just for simplicity's sake, right now, is your intuition that you can do whatever you want? And to what extent does that look like?
No.
Do you have any ability to do anything?
I feel like you can only control what you yourself do, but then there's also, like, there's society. Like, you have laws, and you have restrictions, and you have factors that are influencing you. You have consequences for saying things, doing things. So I don't think that you can ever actually have free will in, like, the sense of being a like a good citizen, or like
of course. That makes
a person, a part of a society. If you're living by yourself and you're not a part of any society whatsoever, then I think you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Okay. Yeah. I think you put that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I think you put that.
I'm in between.
Yeah.
A little bit.
What about you?
So, okay, I'm going to go through a lot. I'm going to first kind of run through like a broad idea of what
Is this GPT or Gemini?
GPT.
Okay, better than Gemini.
I'm going to run through just the broad arguments.
You're killing the world.
Both for myself and for the audience. So there's the introspective argument, which is the idea that we experience ourselves as choosing freely, and this living experience is evidence of agency. There's the libertarian, which is like determinism cannot fully explain human thought or creativity.
So not free Willians.
No, these are
new topic, new term, coined here at UA Discourse Series.
Boom.
Against free will, the determinism, every event has a cause, human actions are no exception. I guess those are probably the main ones. Oh,
Nothing on compatibilism?
Compatibilism, free will exists within determinism as rational self-governments.
Oh. So yes. So
Yes.
basically what I said.
Yeah.
And that actually referenced Hume as well. So I have two that I like.
I should be a philosopher, guys.
You already are.
I
true.
sympathize with determinism, but I think I'm more of a compatibilism. And the reason why I sympathize with determinism is because
An enemy.
Yes, exactly. I watched this video one time about this idea called the block universe. And it's basically this idea that the past, present, and future exist simultaneously. And that idea seems so cool to me that I want it to be true.
That's
that
interesting.
would disprove free will.
Well, then wouldn't nothing ever happen? If the
Well,
past
nothing ever happens.
Nothing ever happens. Unless Trump
That's
gets
sad. That's like pessimistic.
indicted again or impeached again. We'll see.
I feel
2026.
like, guys.
Well, just to kind of, it is a very, especially when you start thinking about it, it is a very emotional topic, right?
Yeah.
Because we tie a lot of our self-identity in towards our final topic I'll be talking about. We tie
am I
to
gonna
that
have to
in a lot of
label
our
myself
emotions.
in like every aspect in life?
Maybe, but not quite. But it is a very emotional thing because we tie a lot of our, experience, our frameworks, our moral inclinations, our everything to this perception that we are free to do things within reason, right? So I want to do a little. Thank you. I want to do a little exercise here.
Good. I gotta get my steps in today.
Oh, don't worry. We're not getting up. Each of you, Logan, do the mouse. You do your cup. Just go ahead and pick up your thing. Shake it around a little bit, and just set it down. Would you say that you were free to do that action right there? That you chose to do that independent of everything?
Because I could have just said, no, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
But I don't have a
been
reason
like,
to.
Would you
F you,
have...
Peyton. I'm not picking up my cup.
Well, would you have picked your items up had I not said anything to prompt you to pick those up in that moment right there?
In that moment, probably not.
No. But I might, if I said I didn't want to pick my cup up, that could have had some consequences. You'd be like, Abby, you're so lame. Why wouldn't you participate in this exercise? I don't want to be your friend anymore.
Well, that works the same way too. If you
Right?
hadn't picked the cup up, would you have decided not to pick the cup up had I not initially prompted you to consider picking the cup up?
Yeah. Or would we have done
I
it
wouldn't
just to
even have thought of
disprove
the
your little
cup.
Yeah,
experiment?
yeah,
That's
exactly.
the thing. Yeah.
Now, it's an extremely simple example of the kind of principle that I believe in, which is that if you look at simple little things like whether or not you pick up a water bottle, right? I wouldn't have picked that up right now had I not been talking about picking up a water bottle, had I not been thinking of the example that I just did, had I not been thinking about the topic of free will, had I not had so many different experiences in my life that tended me towards being a hard determinist, had I not been, and you can go back to so many different things the longer you sit down and think about it and tie every single action from the gestures you do, from the way you raise or decrease your voice, the words you use, your beliefs, your feelings, all of them, I believe, can be radically tied to things that have already happened.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I will grant that it's impossible for us as humans to know all of them, but I think enough of them are knowable such that you can tie everything to being determined.
It's essentially just like an expansion of the butterfly effect.
Yeah, I believe in that full-heartedly in every possible sense of the way. And you mentioned karma earlier too.
Yes, that makes sense. I also said earlier that I believe everyone has kind of like a destined path, and that's just not something really you can control. But then also there are some things, I don't know, it's my nature to push back on that a little bit.
It's very emotionally uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, because I don't like the idea that everything has been set. Even if I believe in it, I don't like the idea that everything has been laid out for me already, or that everything that I do is affected by what has already happened. It's like, say when you're going to sleep, my 3 a.m. thoughts, right? I'm going to sleep and I'm thinking, and this random thought pops into my head. I'm not seeing anything, I'm not hearing anything, I'm not smelling anything, but somehow I think of that. Do you think that that ties back into my past?
1,000%.
Yeah?
Are we talking like a dream or just like a random thought?
Like a thought. Like me having insomnia, trying to fall asleep, and then I just start spiraling.
Yeah, I think I'm not you, and I don't, again, it's impossible for all of us to know everything that influences. But knowing basically nothing, I would assume that, okay, maybe your brain has learned a pattern of when you're up late at night, can't go to sleep, you're going to feel a little, I don't know, emotionally negative. When you feel emotionally negative, you have corresponding thoughts that tend to arise during those periods, and that's been conditioned as a pattern over the course of your life and reinforced such that it would be understandable at the very least that you'd have kind of negative thoughts in a similar way. Now, I don't know enough about your life to know, okay, why was that specific thought? I don't know enough about how the brain works to know how it pulled that. But I think abstractly, the logic does follow for me personally, although I fully understand why it's very uncomfortable to even consider that.
Well, no, it makes sense. I just have a hard time
of course.
Accepting.
And I do too,
you know?
Don't get me wrong.
I think a good way to frame compatibilism, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Is like, I would agree that like, the universe does things and it's led up to this moment. But I think it's led up to this moment in the sense that it has given us a choice rather than, oh, you will do this thing. So for example, say I'm like thirsty. That's not something I can necessarily control, but I can still choose whether or not to take a drink of water.
Well, do you know what
more likely to take a drink of water, but nonetheless, I still might not.
Well, do you think that the universe picks different paths based on which one you choose?
I think that's just like those decisions lead to a different future.
But
even if it's just drinking water.
But wouldn't you choose to do that based on the pattern of your behavior? Do you know what I mean? Like now I'm starting to think about it.
And here's another thing that your example of drinking water ties very greatly into how I wouldn't say cope, it used to be cope, but I'll use the word cope with this realization I believe to be true. You said you're thirsty, right? That's a feeling, right? Your conscious experience that guides your decisions, why you choose to do anything, is rooted in feeling, right? You feel thirsty. You feel uncomfortable at the prospect that, you can't control things. And that's kind of how I've coped with this belief that I think is, to the extent I'm capable of knowing, objectively true, is that I still feel as though I have free will, and I feel compassion, and I feel joy, and that kind of guides me forward, because whether or not we have any control over our actions, we still feel as though we do, and we're still watching this movie, and it feels good when there are good parts of the movie, right? And that kind of guides me forward, even though at times it's difficult. And I didn't mention it during my whole religiosity arc, but I was a hardcore, in every definition of the word, nihilist for a few months, and it was scary. I danced with death a little bit there, but I got through it, and part of it was this recognition of, okay, I may not be controlling the movie, but I like what I'm watching, and I want to see how the other actors are doing.
Yeah.
I like that analogy.
That's actually kind of nice, because I feel like anxiety and OCD and all those things
Somebody's
stem from...
watching me.
Stop.
No, that was a bastardization of that song.
No. And I know, I agree.
Okay, good. But continue.
Anyway, had to correct that.
Of course.
What was I even saying?
Anxiety,
OCD. I feel like that all stems from thinking that you have the ability to control every single thing that you do. And maybe that's why I have a hard time coming to terms with that, because I think I do have the ability to control every single thing that I do.
I know of another argument against free will, which is basically like just genetics. So to the point where like what you feel is controlled by your genes and like, you know, your, I guess, ancestors, and then those actions are predicated.
I would say influenced, but I think in the same way that every other thing in the world influences us that we couldn't have controlled.
Well, yeah, because there are a lot of like mental disorders that are hereditary. You know, it's like I don't know. It depends.
But I think you are onto
Are
another.
you thinking about what?
No,
hereditary? Okay.
Sorry.
It's like I can clarify.
No,
But-
completely separate thing.
You had a very good point there, and it's our desire for control, perception of our ability to have control,
And
that leads to a lot of negative emotions, right? I also feel anxiety. I still feel it. I still struggle with it. But I find, and this is my segue into our last kind of topic, that as I've kind of relinquished that control, and I have what I believe to be sound philosophy to kind of ground that I've gotten closer and closer to peace, even though I'm very far from it. I'm not enlightened. But unless we have any final talks about.
I mean, I like the idea of not having to control every single thing that I do, because that just sounds so appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I'm such an anxious person, and I worry that one little mistake is going to uproot every single decision I've made in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty bad for me in high school. But now I've started to kind of, I feel like when you get older, you get a little more sad about things, and you're just like, you know, I'm old now. I feel like I should just enjoy life instead of having to worry about where the next step is taking me, you know?
Yeah, no, that's real.
So I'm trying, I mean, I am 19, so it's, I'm not ancient, but I don't know. I feel like death can happen at any time, so.
And it does.
It does.
Yeah.
Damn.
Rapid fire question, because like I had a spark of imagination. When we
It's
were
rare.
talking about genetics, I had some hardcore deja vu, and like there have been moments where I could have sworn, like I think I told you about this in my history class. Someone asked a question, I'm like, I swear this has been asked. Like
I have an interesting theory on what deja vu is.
I'm gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
And like I there have been moments of like, oh my God, Matrix is real. What the hell?
Yeah.
So I want to hear, rapid fire hot takes. Why do we have deja vu?
Oh, I'll let you go first.
I think sometimes you may predict your feelings about certain things. So when I actually had this moment, I thought I was literally going crazy, but I had several dreams that then happened in real life. And I don't know if those things exactly happened or if I just remember the feeling that it gave me. And then the feeling was replicated almost exactly. And then it triggered something in my brain thinking that was real.
See, that's funny because in like my history class example, it wasn't what I was feeling. It's like I swore I could have predicted what question was going to be asked, like word for word. But anyways.
I don't know enough about it. Dreams are really interesting too, but we can save that for another day. But
Subconscious.
my working unsupported theory is that because of whatever glitch happens in your brain, instead of something happens with the order such that you put in the memory, your brain encodes the memory of what just happened first in your short-term memory before giving you the sensations that come. Like there's a mishap in what happens in order. I don't even know if that makes sense.
So no, that kind of is what I was saying a little bit.
Yeah.
Just in a less.
And that's my like cope kind of like assumption, but it could be like the universe just being like.
No,
actually, you're a genie.
I'm kind of I'm kind of the same way. My fun answer is like, oh, simulation theory is real, and it's a glitch in the simulation.
I don't know if that's fun. That's terrifying.
Wow, okay, like interesting question.
We're all watching the movie. I want to see my other actors do okay.
My realistic answer is just the brain's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, your brain makes up stuff all the time. Like,
True.
made up seeing shit when I was younger.
Dreams?
Well, no. Like
we need to talk about consciousness and dreams for another one of these episodes.
Yeah, that would be so fun.
Maybe the next one.
I remember almost all my dreams, actually.
I remember.
I vividly remember them.
I used to be really bad with dreams, but recently I've started having a lot more and remembering a lot more.
Why?
I've had several recurring dreams.
Another episode.
Well, I've had several recurring dreams. Like, I remember those. I remember what I dreamt last night, but I don't necessarily remember what I dreamt the night before, unless it was like a really scary or emotionally impacting dream.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to cut you off because
No,
I do
you
think
can.
this warrants like an actual episode, low-key, dreams and consciousness.
Yeah, fun segue.
But,
Let us know in the comments below if you want us to talk about our dreams. Did that give you the ick?
I have one final kind of topic that kind of sort of relates to everything, and then I think we can wrap it up. And it's basically whether or not the idea of a consistent self is real, whether or not your idea of the self, something lasting, despite how your body has changed or your experiences, remains intact over the course of everything. Yes, Ship of Theseus. But I think we'll go to you this time. You can think of it through the lens of the Ship of Theseus.
Yeah, I'll start that as a foundation.
I have no clue what that is.
So the Ship of
You
Theseus,
probably do.
if you replace every board of a ship, is it still the same ship? So like how we can apply that to ourselves is like our skin is constantly replacing itself. Our like cells are constantly like, duplicating and dying off, etc. So like I don't know the exact number, but like your bones essentially replace themselves every like 16 years. There's some number there to the point where like you do not have the same quote unquote body parts as you did like growing up. So the question is like whether that applies to like consciousness, right? Mm-hmm. And like I can't, again, this is like one of those things you can't possibly know, but my intuition tells me that there is something there that is consistent. But I mean, like your brain is constantly developing. You have new ideas, new connections. Your brain itself is making new connections. But I think there is some kind of consistent foundation there that like structures everything.
Okay, and we'll interrogate that in a
I
moment.
agree with that a little bit. I mean, I said I have my core values, and then sometimes the subtopics change. So I believe that I am a different person than I was 5 years ago, but I think I still have a lot of the same personality aspects that make me who I am.
Would you be willing to say similar?
Sure, similar. Okay. I don't know if they're necessarily the same, but they're similar enough to where I'm still like the same person in my brain. Yes. Now, if we're going back to the ship.
Did that make sense to you? That was very quick, by the way.
Yes. Okay. No, that made sense to me. If you replace all the boards of the ship, is the ship's name the same? Are the people on the ship the same?
It's up to you.
Okay, if the name is the same, the people on the ship are the same. If somebody died on that ship and that ghost is still haunting that ship even though the boards are replaced, it's the same ship.
So is it just the name that matters?
Okay, I'm sorry. That reminds me of another interesting kind of twist on it that I've done before.
Okay.
That I think will help y'all understand. So, Ship of Theseus, right? Brand spanking new, and Captain Theseus is on the boat. And when he first starts with the boat, he's like, okay, this is sick. I'm a captain of this boat. This is awesome. Sails for maybe a decade or two, but maybe about year 15 in, he's had to replace some of the boards, but overall it's holding really well. But he gets into a really big fight with, I don't know, some fucking Persians or some shit, okay? Because he's Theseus, he's got to be Greek. But nonetheless, really big fight, and it's got like holes blown in it, like there's missing wood, but nonetheless, the ship survives until eventually he docks, ship wastes away for a bit until Theseus is older, wants to give his ship to his son, and he refurbishes the entire thing, gets rid of all the battle scars. Now, in Theseus's head, when people ask him, well, okay, what is the Ship of Theseus? In his head, when it was most the Ship of Theseus was when he was with his crew fighting against the Persians, because it has the most emotional potency to him. That there was his ship that he had worked with 15 years up until then, and it held strong, and that battle was the coalescence of what the ship was supposed to be. Even though it had 15 years prior, sat in a dock for a few years, and then was refurbished, that is the ship to him. But if we look at it the way you were talking about our bodies, then, well, sure, it could be the ship to Theseus, but is it actually? I mean, it's already lost all these pieces. At one point, it ends up entirely replaced.
Yeah.
So is it simply when you put the name to it?
I have a little bit, I'm going to go back to the similar theory a little bit, because I definitely think it's still similar. It's not the same ship, but it's still similar.
Perfect distinction.
Myself, like, you know when you go to a place that has completely changed, or like a building is demolished, but you had really good experiences there, and you go there and you can still feel them.
Logan at the White House.
I was
anyway,
lost.
I'm sorry.
But like, no, for example, there was a little place in my town that had this peace garden, and I would always go there and I'd sit and I'd journal back when I had a journal. I'd sit and I'd journal and I'd think and I'd just take a moment. It was usually during COVID. And then I went back there recently because I visited Chicago, and it was gone. The garden was gone, and it was just like a bush. But I sat there, and I still felt that same feeling there. It wasn't, everything looked different, and everything was different except the way I felt.
I think you summed up my stance perfectly.
Yeah.
Similarity is the key word, right? You could be somewhere very similar, could be the same technical, coordinates of where that garden was for you, but nonetheless, it's maybe physically gone, but you have that memory
Right.
of what it was, and you have the emotions of what it was. I think that same principle of similarity and memory kind of giving us a sort of illusion of consistency applies to our very identities as people. So you mentioned
Agreed.
5 years ago, you'd grant that you were similar but very different person.
Yeah.
A year ago?
Still the same thing. I think I'm similar but very different. I think I'm similar but different than I was yesterday.
Well, kind of cut me off a little bit.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're on the right track. A month ago?
Yeah.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
5 seconds ago?
3 seconds ago? Yeah. Because I wasn't thinking about these
Fascinating.
things. That might have just shifted my morality as
Your
a
entire life.
person.
Well,
It could have.
Well, yeah, that framework you'll find of this idea of self actually, while being very convincingly similar, especially when we get really close in moments of time, is very comforting, and it's what we're used to. But if you look at it through this kind of philosophical lens, you'll come to realize that no, there is no such thing as a consistent self, only a very similar one that our memories connect as they summarize and deem are the same, but functionally and technically aren't.
Yeah.
And with this realization, you can find a lot of insightful things. And I actually became aware of this principle through a guest lecture I had in my Conflict in East Asian Studies class. There was a guest lecturer who came and just talked about Buddhism. And I was like, okay, I mean, I'm interested in this religion, not really an adherent or anything, but she gave a lecture on this very principle and described it very similar to how I just did. And it was just such a mind-blowing moment for me because I realized, wow, why do I regret anything? The person who was put in that situation is fundamentally different, and I have learned from it. This present version has learned from it.
Well, that's a nice way of looking at things.
It is. Why do I worry about anything? Because what I have now is all this iteration of myself will ever have. I don't have to worry about the future. The future version can.
Do you think that the situation that you put yourself in may influence later you?
1,000% it will.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of emotionally, subjectively take that knowledge and move forward, because I
Right.
remember that even though I'm fundamentally different and always changing, I can be ever aware of the present when I remember that and be thankful for the opportunities I have, the fact that I get to experience things.
No, yeah, it's really be in the moment, because I could be like a
Exactly.
really terrible person next year for some reason. Hopefully not. But I could be, like me myself, I could think I'm a really terrible person next year. So I should just appreciate now. When
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
an
that,
okay person.
and the more like mindful you become, the more in the moment you become, you'll find that your compassion just exponentially skyrockets.
Yeah.
So your tendency to do that is probably low. But
Right.
the point of this is two things. One, I think it's philosophically sound. And two, you can give yourself a little more grace and focus yourself on the moment and maybe help alleviate some depression or anxiety, and it has for me. But there's a shit
that's
ton more to
nice.
Buddhism I can leave for another day.
I'm
Any
going to have
concluding
more
thoughts?
3 a.m. thoughts tonight, I think.
My
Yeah.
bad, I have that effect on people.
No, it's okay. Maybe I'll get another viral video. Who
There you go.
knows?
I'll try to be quick. So, like, I believe that the, I guess, truest sense of yourself is just whoever you are in the present. Because, like, I think with the past and the future, we have all these emotions that are, you know, maybe valid, but aren't, you can't, like, apply them to anything because you live in the present. But I also have, like, a more physical way of grounding that. And I don't know which philosopher pointed this out or, like, kind of came up with this framework, but, like, everything has, like, causes. So there's a material cause, like what something made of, a spatial cause, I want to say, like what the shape of something is, and the telos, which is basically like the goal or like what cause something is. So like
Cause type shit? Go ahead.
with Theseus's ship, the material, the boards, are just like one part of the entire ship. There's the shape, there's what's it for, etc. But if we apply that to humans, like your body is just, you know, your shape, your materials. But it's an interesting question of like, what are humans for? And so from that, I like kind of make that distinction of like, we are only what we, or we can only, how do I say this? Well, we only are what we are now. So
Wow. Well
That's
put.
actually kind of beautiful.
Yeah, I think this conversation, unless we have any other final...
No,
Nope.
I'm good. I drank this whole thing. I had to use the bathroom, guys.
Yeah, no, real.
Wrap this up.
But thank you all so much for entertaining my philosophy
Yeah,
gauntlet.
no, I had a
I
good
feel like
time.
this is a really hopeful conversation for me. I know that philosophy can be very scary. There are lots of scary things out there.
No, I had fun. This was
But-
good. Actually, I feel a little bit better as a person
Amen.
after talking about this.
Amen. And it's healthy to do this. If you have any questions about the concepts, please leave them in the comments if you're interested.
And let us know if we should talk about dreams.
Yeah, I think dreams and consciousness is a
Dreams,
hella discord-riddled topic that I think consciousness might just be like the fundamental question for like human existence.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah, and I've
Especially
done
abortion.
hallucinogenics, so I have a little bit of insight from
Don't
a
do
different
drugs,
realm.
kids.
Don't do drugs. I'm not saying do drugs, but I have a little bit. But nonetheless, maybe a topic for another day. Who wants to send us off and remind of the event?
Oh, everyone's looking at
I'm
me.
making Logan do it.
Okay. Yeah, so December 2nd, right?
December 2nd.
7 p.m. in the
7
Student
p.m.
Union, debate on our university is meant to expand students' minds or their wallets.
Woo.
It's their minds, by the way.
That is the only correct answer.
Absolutely. Unless there's nuance.
Nuance.
Anyways, so yeah, that's been us talking about philosophy for like an hour and 15 minutes.
Woo.
Hope you
I can yap.
enjoyed. Absolutely. Hope you enjoyed. I've been Logan.
I've been Peyton.
And I've been Abby.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye,
Goodbye.
guys.
Oh, wait, actually, I forgot. We're taking
We
2 weeks
won't
off.
see you next week.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. We'll
Love
see
you all.
you in December.
Have a good holiday
Soon.
celebrations.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.